Well, just when it looked like the United States and China may be inching closer to a cooling of relations, the trade war fire has reignited once again. And this time, both sides sound ready for a fight. Despite holding working level talks in Washington on Monday, Beijing is accusing Washington of, quote, threatening while negotiating, warning the U.S. to show sincerity or face consequences. China's Ministry of Commerce says the United States cannot engage in dialogue while intimidating and threatening, urging Washington to correct what it calls wrong practices. This comes as tensions surge again last week with a barrage of new U.S. sanctions, export controls, and threats of triple-digit tariffs, just weeks before President Xi Jinping and Donald Trump are expected to meet on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. The spark this time, rare earth minerals. Beijing's sudden decision to expand export controls in the strategic sector caught Washington off guard. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer said China refused to discuss the issue, while Beijing insists it gave Washington advance notice, calling the move a legitimate measure to strengthen export control systems. Experts say China's dominance in rare earth supply chains, controlling roughly 70% of global production, gives it newfound leverage in negotiations. Earlier, Trump took social media threatening 100% tariffs on Chinese goods, doubling down on his campaign promise to be, quote-unquote, tough on China. He also vowed to impose new export controls on all critical software starting on November 1st. The move sent markets into a tailspin before recovering slightly on Sunday after Trump posted, quote, it will be all fine. Beijing response was swift and sharp. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian declared China ready to fight to the end if the U.S. insists on confrontation. Take a listen.
我要强调，近一段时间来，
I would like to emphasize that the United States has recently continued to impose a series of restrictive and sanctioning measures on China, which have seriously harmed China's interests. China firmly opposes this. Instead of reflecting on its own mistakes, the United States has instead threatened high tariffs. This is not the right way to engage with China. If the United States insists on its own way, China will resolutely take corresponding measures to safeguard its legitimate rights and interests.
稳定、健康、可持续发展。
But beneath the fiery rhetoric, both sides say they're still talking. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told Fox Business that staff-level talks are continuing this week in Washington, with Chinese officials attending the IMF and World Bank annual meetings. Bessent also confirmed he'll meet Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng in Asia before the expected Xi-Trump meeting later this month. Just as the stakes gear higher, China has quietly imposed curbs on units of South Korea's Hanwha Group following U.S. shipping moves. While not a U.S. company, Hanwha, seen by Beijing as aligned with Washington's broader Indo-Pacific strategy, now faces export restrictions, signaling that China may escalate not just against U.S. firms, but also those it sees as supporting U.S. logistics and trade networks. Meanwhile, China's latest trade data paints a surprising picture on resilience. Exports jumped 8.3% year-on-year in September, the fastest growth since March. Shipments to the U.S. climbed to $34.3 billion, even as Chinese goods face at least 30% tariffs under Trump's earlier rounds. China's retaliatory tariffs remain at 10%, but Beijing is now warning it could rise them even further. Market analysts think they've cracked the code. According to financial research firm the Kobesi letter, Trump's tariff announcement tend to follow an 11-step playbook, and analysts say we're now on step 6 with China.